let us talk a little bit more about the intellect. Accessing your whole brain, and that would be an integrated brain, is the ability that any person who does mindfulness and compassionate interventions, and therefore you don't have to do yoga necessarily, you don't have to be involved in anything that is Buddhist related. The lovely psycheducators, the updated ones, are sharing that they're creating, for example, secular mindfulness, and they're trying to explain to those who are concerned with tainting their backgrounds that the mindful techniques, they're working with your brain. Okay, so they try to explain. The good psycheducators try to explain respectfully between cultures, heritage, all that, and they're not yelling at each other. And the adults, in fact, don't get all pissy in their pants when people use words. And I'm saying adults because, see, a functional adult is a healthy self-worth person. You're not superior, not inferior. Means that I'm going to be imperfect and flawed. And if I use a word that you don't like and you jump down my throat about it, I'm going to say I'm sorry because that's the right thing to do. I'm not going to filter my mouth for every single person in the future. So I'm not going to change who I am because you and your group don't like my wording of choice. I'm going to learn how, again, to respectfully say, I'm so sorry, and disengage from engaging with you most likely and move along my way. Now, of course, we all know about the lovely little dictionaries of political correctness. I did do college. And on that note, we also know that regulation updates in time. So the reality is what is of existential is what's important. And what I mean is that the system always updates reasonably because they have all sides of a story. And yes, right now I do know that we have a situation at hand. The situation is a reflection of the divide of people, but the divide has happened throughout the years. So let me get back to our brain. When your brain is not integrated, it means you're not ruling your emotional 3-year-old yet. And ruling doesn't mean you have control, because that's actually suppressing your funness. Ruling means that you are able to expand your window of tolerance. Right now I'm not doing this. The window of tolerance, because see, people who don't have a good relationship with emotions, they have a window of tolerance for their emotional plane. It's the nervous system. You don't know how to self-regulate, You can't self-regulate effectively if you don't have an integrated brain. Back to mindfulness and compassionate intervention. So your left and right mode work together thanks to your corpus callosum. And people who have trauma, and anybody who has had emotional neglect, physical neglect, emotional abuse, physical abuse, any person who has big trauma and attachment wounds and attachment categories that are different than the secure one, okay? We also all have charged states, so that's why we see securely attached people with their trust breaks and saying we don't trust anyone. They didn't choose to work with their attachment system or their social system as they got older. No, they chose their peer group, and that's why we have silverbacks and authoritarians and just anybody who can talk a talk, get people to draw, oh, come on over here, because those emotions are ruled, by nobody. They're a pattern of what, you can actually notice it. I'm going to get to that some other time, not today. So I notice patterns, and I notice when people taint things. I notice when I'm adding Maria, and that's going to be always because I can't be absent of me. But I do my best to try and use equanimous terminology. People that don't like that, it's because they have a side, and they don't like that there's a person who likes to sit in the middle. And that's actually something people explain, my trauma-informed educators. And I like to understand that and say, yeah, I'm still going to be equanimous. That's my nature. And nobody has to like it. In fact, I can use my words to explain myself, and then we can all disengage from communicating. I don't need to learn to filter my mouth for you. I can learn to say, you know what, I'm so sorry. We do have different languages. I will be saying goodbye to you right now, and we don't have to engage because what we're doing right now is nothing of any existential importance. No. What is of existential importance is when I go vote. And when I go and do civil work around, when I work, pay my tax, that's of existential, the taxes. Let's not go there. Okay, so actually the environment is what I'm thinking about, but we need to get all hands on deck for that one. Apparently some people don't think it's true, that the environment needs us. They don't like the sustainable suggestions. No, they want the world to go back to the way it used to be. It's like, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't laugh, but I'm laughing. You know why? Because the same people that say these statements, they come and say how smart they are, because they have the ability to share their smarts. So I'm going to be polite, as my mother taught me, to see this is the moment we get back to educating and sharing enough humor to get my lovely community. Come on over, functional adults. I know you're out there. I can't wait for us to get together and to have chit chats face to face, though, because that's the best place. Oh, okay. So once you open your awareness enough, and you can also strengthen your attention, not by sitting only in the mountains, please, because you're not going to do much by okay. And then you develop kindness, and you actually bring kind intention forth, and then you know how to laugh about yourself and about people who think they know a lot of things and they don't. All those that I just mentioned are part of mindfulness and compassionate intervention, and they help to, back to the brain, strengthen your corpus callosum. Lo and behold, your left and right can begin to talk to each other a little bit more. But remember, they shut each other up. So you're the one who needs to, if you want, put that muscle into practice. That's why focusing your attention and allowing your imagination and shutting your mouth and also choosing your words is very important, because as long as you're choosing words that are negative or positive, your body's actually going to respond to those. So equanimous words are best if you can. But obviously, when you're looking at the duality, that's why the inner growth mindset in the advanced place, you go to neutrality, because they're not going to be eliminated. There's plenty of things that I like and don't like. Yes, I've gotten really great at being able to be my adult version, which is really great, because I'm like, yeah, no, I don't like that. But inside, I'm like, wow, that's so fascinating, though, because it brings to me a whole perspective that I wouldn't have otherwise. And here's where consciousness, duality, it is fun for a 3-year-old whole heart. It is fun to be healthy, self-worth, self-empowered. It's all in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, by the way. And on that note, what else grows? Oh, yes, your hippocampus. So the hippocampus gets compromised in its growth. For people who have trauma, with mindfulness and compassionate intervention, it grows. So you see why yoga helps and all of that, which is in mindfulness. Okay, so what else? Your connectum grows, and your prefrontal cortex grows, and therefore it works on all the areas that actually get compromised when a person has attachment ruptures, trauma. Okay, so I know I do this and that. This is my style. If you have questions, ask me. Point is, you can only use your intellect if you actually have a brain that you work to integrate, and it's an embodied brain, because your nervous system is connected to it. And enough about that, and more on the 3-year-old. So when you get out of feeling helpless and ashamed of yourself and defective, and realize that getting out of it doesn't mean you get out of it. It means you become aware of yourself and aware of the importance of your body. It stores 80%. When I said memory in one of those videos, it's the same way that somatics talks about it, but your 20% still your mind. And so really what you want to remember, besides percentages, because these could be basically confused, I'm not really sure of always keeping it all together, because my brain is not good with data points. But what I do know is that your body feels things, your brain translates it. Your left mode, first of all, obviously, and that's the story part. The data would be you sifting through and say, okay, let me get to understand I have emotions arising, I have thoughts arising. I'm going to pause both. The part about raising window of tolerance is what is most important, which people don't understand. So I have a good relationship with the depths of my emotions. That's why I don't know human suffering. I don't know it. I know how to contemplate my emotions, the depths of them. And that's different, because suffering is when you're in your temporal junction. It means you're just doing the loop. And when you do EMDR, you find a loop, for example, which then you can work with the IFS model, internal family system, or child parts, and you get to start working with those charged parts. And your trauma potentially in somatics is important, because that's how you're going to learn to self-regulate. So all that the updated science people in the mental health, the good ones, it's always leading us back. I say the 3-year-old because your first 3 years of life are implicit memory. And that's why, not because of anything. But the first year of life, your attachment category is what will develop. And so that one is even more important for people to understand. To understand you, it's to understand being a person. To understand your emotions is then to understand, do I want to embody the aliveness that I can have from my ventral vagal nervous system state, my prefrontal cortex, and all of what is trending. They all help. Yoga helps because it gets you to be in your inner and outer well-being. But your mindset is what's going to determine that. So you need to be motivated. I want to be myself as the adult emotional being with my 3-year-old heart. It's fun. Tune on in for more and have a wonderful day.